Hi, everyone. Welcome to Riders of the Reels. I'm Emilio,
I'm Adam.
and we're going to be taking you through the 25th anniversary of Spirited Away, an amazing movie that we're going to be going over our biggest shocks, disappointments, and fun facts in this episode.
Sweet. Let's get right into it. So first, I'm gonna ask you just your
Okay?
overall take, your overall, uh, first impressions on this rewatch because it's been a while for both of us, I think.
Yes. It has been, it's at least a year. I usually watch it once a year, maybe every
Oh,
couple of years.
okay.
So every once in a while, but it still hits me new every time. To me, it is almost that perfect rendition of a childhood movie, like when you're of that coming of age era. So I feel like when you're in late elementary, middle school, and you don't know what's going on with life, this is a perfect example of like that type of movie that can replicate that and feel grounded in like you got the fun whimsy of all the different colors. Um, but it also still shocks and scares me every time I see the, the crazy bird lady. It gets me every time. Um, but I think there's something so beautiful to Miyazaki's design of what I think is the best like movie grounded in like Alice in Wonderland. You know, that twisting of the world and how it becomes flipped on its head. Things don't make sense, but yet it makes perfectly sense when you get through the beginning and end of the
Yeah.
story. So I'm utterly shocked still each time. But what about you? I was curious.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know like this is something like Ghibli films I haven't dabbled in as much until like the last few years. So I've probably seen Spirited Away maybe three or four times, and it's been a while since rewatching it, and it hit differently this time. Like it had to been a few years for me, so just
Mhm.
like I think it resonates more as an adult almost, even though you're going through this like little girl's story, as a child. But it's way better than I could have imagined on the rewatch. Like possibly up there with like the best animated film I've ever seen. It's kind of crazy to say, but I've watched quite a few Ghibli films in like the past months, and I think this one is just at the top, like pretty easily. So I'm curious just what we took from this film and what resonated with us, and yeah, everyone should watch Spirited Away at least once in their life.
Absolutely. I mean that it won Best Animated Feature in 2003. I do agree. I think it's Miyazaki's like pinnacle movie. Although I will say I do have a couple more in mind that I think are close to topping it. But um, I think well, first since you said biggest like another takeaway of certain things, as I'm going to bring that up, my biggest shock through the movie is something that I feel like has resonated at points when I've watched it, but hit another wavelength for me was the first river spirit we see, the stink spirit.
Yeah,
Do you remember in the tub? Um, After I took a minute to like digest what it was trying to translate, it fully hit me that it was like supposed to be a very like environmental conscious like scene of showing like how we are today with like our rivers and how we pollute a lot of different things. And I know that's been a huge topic um, in movies in general, like Asian cultures and countries. I know. Um, gosh, what was the movie The Host? They talk about that whole entire. They have a similar scenario of their river being polluted and have it as like a side plot, and that becomes the case with this one too. So I thought that was very fascinating um, display of just craftsmanship and portraying like something that was dear, I'm sure, to Miyazaki's heart. That was a fun thing to be representing. That these spirits aren't just only physical beings that we see, but they can be, stagnant beings that we see. They could be the rivers, they could be trees. They consider different things to have spirits rather than just human beings or living creatures
yeah,
to that extent, which I think was a fascinating touch.
yeah. I was gonna bring up scenes, and that is definitely one of them. Everything you said, they like popped in my head, but the things that stood out to me was more like a different theme of more workers being like overworked, and so like this mud monster comes in and all that Yubaba, the witch lady, the antagonist that runs the bathhouse, all she cares about is like getting this guy out of here and doesn't care who cleans him up, just like figure it out. And they threw Chichiro in there to clean him up, and it just made me think of myself at work. And I think a lot of people can resonate in the sense of like you're doing the dirty work, no one's helping you out, this sucks, and then you get it done, and now you're getting praised, but you're not really getting praised. And it was funny. She's like, Yubaba's like, the spirit's a rich spirit, and this is gonna be great for the bathhouse. We're gonna make a bunch of money, a bunch of gold. And she essentially said that she's gonna throw them the equivalent to a pizza party. Like she
The
says,
sake.
she's like, put down all the gold and stuff, and it's just, I don't know, it's just funny to me. It's like you do all this work for a company, and then all you get in the end is just like a pizza party. You don't get the bonus, you don't get the
Yeah.
money.
No, seriously, that's that's a huge takeaway in a lot of jobs. Like you said, I think a lot of people can
Yeah.
relate to that. I for sure have gotten that plenty of times. I will not talk about it in deep discussion, but very relatable. And speaking of relatable things too, on top of that, the greed level is such a huge theme in this movie. Um, and also I relate to that too. I think we've all related at some point to different levels of like, we
Yeah.
just we get something good that we want to keep like consuming it, and it can almost like put like blockers on our vision. And I feel like that's like a huge thing in this movie is that in this whole like spiritual world, it's not just, you know, Chihiro's parents that be turned into pigs that are greedy. Like it's every person to the workers, like you're saying, when they were picking up the gold. And even
Yeah.
though like for hard work, they were there was greed there. There was greed from No Name wanting the love of Chihiro, like being around her, the greed of Yubaba wanting to be in control of everything. Like each character has these levels of greed that are so persistent, and it puts blockers on their eyes, and it puts them only into their own viewpoint of like, I need to stay in my zone and care about myself and what I need. And I've noticed that in my own life at different times when I get something good and I'm just like, I need to be doing the same thing. And I think it's a good reflection of showing us where we need to be balanced within that, because Chihiro is like a character that is very obstinate to that, as she's not distracted by those elements overwhelming
Yeah.
her life, which it makes a very encouraging hero that you want to follow.
Oh yeah, with that, the I think a big theme of the overall Spirited Away is with identity and almost like lack of or loss of identity. We can get so caught up in like these things like consumerism and just wanting people to accept us. Like No Face wanted everyone to accept him because he was feeling lonely and thought that throwing out gold to everybody was the way to win people over. And there's a bunch of examples of identity in the movie, like Haku, the boy slash dragon. He can't
Mm-hmm.
remember his name, so in turn, he doesn't know, he doesn't know who he is. Yubaba steals the workers' names, essentially takes their names away, and that's taking away your identity. And back to what I was explaining with like the workforce and corporate places that kind of take advantage of you, and you're not really a name to them, you're just a number, and you spend years at a place without even knowing it. And yeah, there's some deep stuff in this movie.
Yeah, no, and like you were saying with the workplace specifically, I know, and it extends even further than the workplace, and I understand the limitations even in like government style stuff. But we have like numbers to our names, social security. You have a whole entire number. You have your workplace. Sometimes you have a number when you clock in. I mean, there's all these different situations that are there for reasons because we are such an overpopulated world. But at the same time, it dissociates us from realizing we're each people when it comes to different conflicts, raises, um, getting fired, all these different things, getting fired.
Yeah.
You can almost get away with it and not feel as horrible because you're like, at the end of the day, it doesn't have to always be a face to face person like contact. I can see you as a number on a board, and I have to get you off. So there is that. Yeah, it dives into a lot of different themes that very relatable still to this day.
Yeah, and to circle back, this also has to do with identity, the mud monster, and the whole the thing you said with our environmentalism and us as people have kind of lost our identity as like a society. Things used to be like way cleaner and rivers weren't polluted and we cared about those things and now all that we care about is ourselves and more building more, consuming more and yeah, that monster spirit, muck spirit, like is a perfect example of that. And once you take the time to clean him off, help him out, he's free, he's back, and we really have to, as a society, like get back to worrying about the things that matter.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's a great topic to be prefacing still. And I think it'd be more common to, or I think it'd be more impactful to see it still, but we haven't. At least I haven't seen it to the extent in other films as relative and as creatively as he has, Miyazaki. What else did you have? Any other thoughts, whether it was between certain characters that resonated with you, or other different scenes that pulled you in to reveal different themes you might not have noticed the first time?
This is kind of random, but Lynn, she's like the main
Mm.
woman worker that kind of grows like a sister-like relationship with Chihiro. She's voiced by Susan Lin, who voiced Meg in Hercules. And I didn't realize that before, but now that I
That's
realized
good.
it, all I could hear is Meg from Hercules. Like she's even
Now
like
I can hear that.
just as sassy and assertive. So I'm like, just Meg from Hercules, which came out before Spirited Away. So, but but yeah, and just like I said, I like that relationship between Lin and Chihiro. Like Lin kind of hates her, not hates her, but sees her as like a bonehead at the beginning, and throughout the movie they start to develop like a sister-like relationship, and
Mhm.
Lin really starts caring for Chihiro and sees even though she's a human, like she's really good-hearted and constantly doing the right thing, and I don't know, it just spoke out to me like that sibling type relationship.
Yeah. No, I did think that was really interesting. I do think they also played very well within like the humor between the two characters. Like every aspect that I had a way of explaining this, but like the way he does world building, it's so like it breaks every rule of concept, I feel like. Into how like just he involves her, Lynn getting introduced as a character. It's already at like a good big jumping point, and all these other characters. But he decides if you watch his movies, usually the first 30 minutes you get everything of what this new world's going to be, all the rules. But like I swear, every 5 minutes there's some new like rule he's putting in, or some new character transition and plot device and point, and it's the most unique thing because he can get away with it and make it still work, even though you ask a million questions at the end, and you and you can like you can just think about it for days or years and still come up with something new. Um, and speaking of that, I was going to bring up if you noticed this too, or this was my thought, is when she transitions into the spirit world, I almost saw it as you know how she quickly dissolves a little, like 5 minutes into it, like she's like
Yeah,
fading away almost.
yeah,
To me, I was feeling like that's the as soon as she walked through that pathway, there her physical body was not there. I felt like it's her spiritual body. Um, so I
okay,
feel like you're only following like spiritual Chihiro, and then when she gets there and she eventually becomes Sen, she loses that self, like you said again too. So now Sen is this like guide to showing her how to become the scared girl Chihiro she was in the beginning, and how to learn how to grow up and to be accepting of change and the different overcoming factors of that world can bring to you. Because I think it's very common that kids nowadays, and when we were growing up, things get overwhelming so
yeah,
quickly. Like it feels like life passes you by. And I feel like that was an example of her spirit being there and life passing by as quickly as losing your name, losing yourself, and trying to just keep climbing the
yeah.
ladder to success.
No, so yeah, that's a cool take. I did not even think of it in that sense. Obviously, I thought of it, her like progression throughout the movie, like her journey from basically scared child to not an adult, but like matured a lot, like she's just like calm, composed by the end, doing all these things, learning all these things, doing like the job at the bathhouse and kind of looking
Mm.
after her parents or trying to like get her parents back and all these things. And it all leads to one of my favorite scenes in this movie and just any movie is that train scene when she's on the train with No Face. And it's just kind
Mm-hmm.
of, you finally get a break from the bathhouse and all the chaos. And like the spirit world isn't as bad, I guess, as it was made out to be, like in the bathhouse. And she can just sit there and just reflect on everything that happens. And that train moving is kind of like from childhood to, okay, I'm like mature now. I have things figured out, and just kind of everything you just said about her like identity, essentially finding her identity.
No, I love the way you describe that because it's literal and metaphorical, the train ride. Like they are obviously moving to different destinations, but she's moving and reflecting on the different lessons she's been learning. And also, yeah, like I feel like grasping on there's different people obviously sitting on the train when they're there, and you see
Yeah.
them kind of get on and off. Like I think at one of them there's like a little girl at the platform, and almost getting that sense of like, yeah, there's more that was peaceful to the spiritual world and just the overwhelming sense of this constricted place that Yubaba is concealing there. Um, so that
Yeah.
was cool.
And you just said those faceless people. That kind of also, in my opinion, circles back to that theme of identity, where all these people or spirits, they're just kind of faceless. They're just going about their day, day by day, no identity. Just kind of like some people do, like we do, just going to work, same thing every day. And before you know it, years pass, and here you are. And I don't know, it's just crazy to think about. Just
Yeah. No, and if now that you bring that up, if you noticed when because that train is full of people, you never see anyone interact. You never see, so it almost kind of feels like it portrays into that extent that no one's even connecting with other human beings on this place, even though it's spiritual world. Like they're stuck still to that. It's me doing my thing, sitting. And I think that's very common of us today. We're on our phones all the time. I see people going on dates and not even talking with each other. Like there's
yeah.
just so many different elements. I'm like, oh, it worries me. And these are these moments where we can kind of, try taking a minute to reflect on our lives, see if we're doing that as well. And if there's any way we can, you know, try living a little better life environmentally, socially.
Exactly. That's why I love movies like this, where we could just talk about it. Everyone can kind of relate to in their own way, and we can talk about those themes instead of just keeping to ourselves.
Yeah. No, totally. Well, and on top of that too, I was curious if you had any disappointments in this story. I have one, but if you had, it doesn't have to be like a bad thing about the movie, but something you were, itching for more.
I'd love to hear whatever you're thinking because I really came out of the movie with like a high, high rating where I would have to think about like nitpick something. So I don't want to just nitpick. So,
Yeah. Okay. So I personally, because I think Haku's story is so fascinating. Um, from the start, the first time I watched it to obviously most recent time, he's one of those characters that is so integral in backstory. You can tell how much he's lived here the immediate moment he comes to help Chihiro. And I think I was lacking on still a little bit more of his backstory. I know we get a little bit that he is this river god entity, but at some points it still doesn't, at least for me, it doesn't make sense because, like, was he at the spiritual place first and learned and became, like, had some, magical elements and became the river god, or was he always a river god in the real world and somehow got influenced here? Like, I just want to know if was he an actual kid at one point? Um, because there almost is that sense that he is. The fact that the other river god, the stink bug, when they get cleaned up, they're not a being. They're just like a face, and then they transform into that. So I feel like there was a little bit of story that I would have loved to dive a little bit deeper in. We love talking with Miyazaki one on one and seeing what his thoughts and
yeah.
intentions were on that. Would never happen probably, but
Yeah, no, okay. Now that you say that, I definitely get that. I don't know if it's just because literally the whole theme was he has no identity, so we're not gonna know anything about him. I do like how it ties, like, he's the spirit that saved Chihiro which that was kind of quick too, to be fair. Like I don't know if
Mhm.
they showed like any sort of flashback at the beginning. I don't think they did.
No, it's just that one sequence at the end, like a little bit in the water.
So yeah, that was kind of
Mhm.
like, oh, how convenient, I guess. Like it was like
Mhm.
touching. That's how he like remembered they remembered each other, but it did feel like his story. You just want to know more. So it's not necessarily a nitpick, but
Yeah.
maybe more of a like a positive in the sense of that's an interesting character. We want to know more.
Hmm. Well then, oh man, because I was actually just about to like try nitpicking more about that and being like, yeah, why didn't they like, show a little bit more, like have a conversation with her and the parents, in the car, like, hey, remember that river? Like, be careful, like what happened last, like, but
Yeah.
now that I think about it, when she first gets in there, they have to cross that river over the rocks, and she's like hesitant to it, and she's scared. And
Yeah.
then whenever there's any water element in there, she's usually scared as well. When it becomes nighttime and that river becomes the whole entire like ocean, she's like immediately like, I mean, and obviously the fear of being so far away, but I think it also unlocks potentially that inner fear that we were just talking about.
I didn't even think of that. That's cool.
Like now,
Just
just yeah,
unraveling things as you talk, but yeah, okay, that makes sense.
it's just genius. He's so good.
Yeah. Any other characters or scenes that stand out to you besides the train
Mm.
scene?
I I want to say it's Miyazaki's most like Pixar like moment because he obviously does very complex things, but like the most like adorably absurd thing that he creates is the lamp with the like with the hand thing. There's something about that like I just smile every time I see it, and I'm just like, this is something from like Pixar. It reminds me of like the hopping lamp that like steps
Yeah.
on the eye, but he makes it so classically like fun, and I don't even question it. Like I know in this world it's already like magical. I'm just all on board. That's probably my favorite. Just like side
Yeah.
character.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, all of his movies are obviously like that, but this one does have just some insane characters and insane character designs from Yubaba and her giant
Oh my
head, and
gosh. And the
I
way she
mean,
like wraps herself.
yeah, like and like her little like bird thing companion and her big
Oh
baby,
my gosh.
like whatever the heck that thing is,
Yeah.
like
Okay. It's unsettling.
yeah. I think you mentioned it earlier, but like it is like a movie where it can kind of have some fear, like it's a little freaky. Like I remember turning it on for my sister like years ago. She was pretty young, had to be like younger than 10 years old. We didn't even get through like 10 or 15 minutes. Like she didn't want to watch it because it was just
Hmm.
so freaky. Like from even like the beginning scene, the parents turning into pigs, which is like horrifying.
Oh yeah.
Which shout out to the Odyssey. We just reviewed
That's
that.
yeah.
That reminded me
It
of
comes
that.
Cersei was clearly cooking up some food.
But yeah, the character design, the animation in this one for 2001 is just or 2003 was it?
Yeah.
Two, it's just insane for that time
Totally.
period. I still love the 2D animation. The soundtrack is phenomenal. Like I don't even know.
Yes.
I was like playing it all week, just like listening to it on my
I
phone in general. It's so pretty to listen to.
I can't begin to tell you how much of the soundtrack I have on all of his music because I think he uses the same composer
Yeah.
for each of his movies. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's fantastic.
Yeah, I would hate to leave it off. Let me see. Cause yeah,
Yeah, if you have.
Joe Hizashi,
Oh,
definitely not
yeah,
pronouncing that
yes.
wrong.
But no,
But
that's right. Joe, I remember. Yeah, he's
yeah,
fantastic.
but uh, but yeah, and then I want to talk about a scene that maybe you can decipher better than me, but
Hmm.
that last scene, the final test where Yubaba asks her to which pigs
Hmm.
are your parents, and she basically just says, none of them.
Hmm.
How did you like interpret that?
So it's interesting that you just asked that because I'm maybe 100% or 99.9% correct on this. I believe. I think her name Chihiro in Japanese or where it comes from originally means naive in a way. So she's obviously, and we can see when she's going through the whole story like naively, like obviously, but still scared and afraid of a lot of things. And at the end, she, like we've talked about, she's changed, even though she's not an adult. She's grown up, and I think that's almost like the thematic approach of them showing her change from naiveness or being naive. Um, and I think it's to that extent where this whole entire time she's been realizing that Yubaba has been controlling and um, what's the right word? She's been manipulating the whole
Yeah.
entire time. So I think she's starting in that scene to realize the manipulation. Like her character isn't going to have that full change, like a lot of others. I don't think she went through enough elements to be changed to a completely different extent. So we still see a little of Yubaba being the same manipulative style person, saying she has to follow the rules. And I think that was her way of coming to terms that like she wouldn't put them there on the spot. I think she's gonna try playing almost another trick,
Yeah.
and I need to also like have no fear. And so this is her explaining that point of like the no fear and being true to like what you decide, and that's where I think that comes to.
Okay. So just
But
she was just like
I,
for sure, like believed in herself finally, like she just knew the answer and that's the answer she's given type of thing. Like trust your gut.
that that's what I think because and it's more so not that like I don't think she was actually looking at that litter and realizing that like none of these looked entirely like her parents. I think it was just more of that internal sense of like I need to realize this world is continuously trying to keep me here and mess with me here. And what is it most likely going to want me to do is say they're here, and for me to choose a specific two. But I'm going to choose the option that it's not going to think of. It's not any of them there. So
Yeah.
instead of choosing two wrong ones or two that I think they are, I'm going to choose none. That's my I guess interpretation of it.
Okay. Okay. I had like similar take. Again, I don't think there's any right answer and that's what's cool about it. We just have to interpret it as viewers, but I don't know how she worded it, but it was something like they're not here, they're not pigs, and I took it as her parents literally aren't pigs and like
Mm.
they're turned into pigs but they're still just humans and she knows they're good people like when they got turned into pigs they did ask like we're gonna pay they called out for the owner so they did what they can they weren't just like greedy people. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that answer was just her like knowing who she is, knowing who her family is, and they're not pigs, they're not greedy people. So even if they
Mm-hmm.
were there, that was like a trick answer essentially,
In
maybe to
itself.
like outwit Zubaba. So
I really like that too. I think that's really clever though. Like, yeah, and because his most of his movies are so in depth that it's up to interpretation. A lot of it. So yeah, I like that ending.
yeah. Any like last second things you
Uh,
wanna go over?
yeah. What one last thing that I just liked at the touch too is the payoff when she gets the purple hair tie too. If you noticed when she gets that from Yubaba's sister, it's
Yeah.
supposed to protect her. At the end, it does feel like when she's leaving, it feels like that's also another you know, block point of like showing she's gone through growth from being naive to not. And at the same time, when she's leaving, the parents are trying to be like, they almost talk in a way that like, oh yeah, none of this is like we've been waiting for you. What took you so long? Like as if everything she experienced didn't happen. But yet when she's like told not to turn around, she's about to. And so like kind of in a viewer's maybe first time watching it, you might think, "Oh, is any of this real? Did any of that happen?" But then you see right when she is about to turn, but then she leaves the purple hair tie glints, and it almost feels like the way they ended Inception with the whatever the thumb thing spinning. I'm forgetting the name
Yeah.
of it, but it just to me it felt like a revealing moment as the director being like, "It was all real. Everything she went through happened," and it was like it was a beautiful just touch on like she went through it. The parents won't know about this, but it was we experienced the journey with her.
Yeah. Nah, yeah, I like that. No cop out of it's just a dream or something
Exactly.
like that. Yeah.
We don't need that.
But yeah, I mean it's uh like I said earlier, one of the best animated movies I've ever seen. I'd love to hear your rating out of 10 personally.
It's hard not. I will give it a 10. It's hard not to not. to give it anything less than that, even though I had disappointment. But I'll give it a straight 10.
All right. I was expecting like in the nines for you, but a 10 is exactly what I'm giving it. 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of just a masterpiece, just the pinnacle of Ghibli movies, and I don't think they'll ever make another film like it again. And there's been one that we might review soon that kind of compares and might be close to its level, but I still think that Spirited Away is top of the top.
Yeah,
So
I agree. I think it is potentially his best that he will ever come out with, and has.
okay, well, with that being said, we're gonna wrap things up here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for watching the Riders of Reels podcast. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'd love to know what you think of Spirited Away in the comments, where you have it ranked amongst Ghibli films. And until next time, thanks for joining us for the ride. I'm Adam.
I'm Emilio. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace.